Hello shape enthusiasts, and welcome back to another episode of Shapes 2 on our insane factory. We have finished all our milestones and are currently working through all our tasks. We're up to tasks probably around 23 out of a total of 33 tasks, so we're getting towards the end, last 10 series of task progressions to go. Currently we're working on this one over here, which is trimming the gnome. So we just made this shape, now we're going to have to change it to this shape. Now that we were using a 3/4 square, but it's no longer a 3/4 square on that layer, so we're going to have to make modifications at every single layer. This part is useless. So what we really want to do is maybe get rid of the green for now as well. This bottom right square hasn't changed, but we need a circle bit now. So we're going to go our full to 2 diagonals. And we only need one bit of circles, so we can bin one side. The circles are going in the right orientation, but to that we need to merge a quarter of a square. So we just grab our quarter destroyer, grab another belt of squares, pop that in there, make sure it's on the right section. So we need to give it a clockwise rotation because our quarter destroyer brings everything to the bottom right, and we need our, wait, I corrected myself, counterclockwise rotation because we need our green square on the top right. So with these two components, we should be able to now stack them together like such, and that should give us our 3/4 shape of the bottom layer. To that, we need to paint it green. So we'll bring our green painter there, we'll bring our green paint out, and we'll just pop it up and in. And in theory, that should be correct. Now we should be able to just stack this with our other quarter, and just like that, we should get our new bottom layer. Our second layer has also done some changes, so unfortunately instead of this quarter square thing, it's now a diagonal circles and it's yellow. And it's still a quarter circle, so we're going to keep this. And you know what, instead of this, we can just take this bit that we aren't using over here, bring it across and into some sort of painter. So I'm going to put my painter here and we're going to bring that in there, and it needs to be yellow. We haven't mixed any colors over here, so let's get our color mixer. Probably there. Yellow is made of red and green, so we can pop that up there, bring that down and into our painter. So that should get our yellow diagonal bit. That needs to be merged into there now. So I'm going to move this down a little bit and merge that in there, and that should get our second layer, which is this yellow 3/4 circle thing. And in theory, nothing else should change. That's the only changes that we need to make. Fantastic. I'm going to go back to staging 2 and just make sure that, staging 4, I believe, and just make sure this shape is delivering correctly because it hasn't been delivering for a long time now. Does that look correct to you guys? I feel like that's correct. I think it's just taking its sweet time. That's fine. We'll check back in on staging 4 in a bit. For now, let's go back to staging 1. Staging 1 was delivering this shape, which is the final iteration of that shape. So it's a nice and simple cleanup exercise. It's going to clean up this, and get rid of all of this crap. Fantastic. We are now on track to do another shape, or start up another shape. This one has a lot of yellow, a lot of cyan, a lot of white, and the shape progression looks very wacky. So let's just focus on this one shape first. The bottom layer of this shape is a 3/4 shape. And then this part is pinned up, but this part is not, so we're gonna have to do that all separately. So let's start off with, oh, this is 3 separate bits of a shape. That's fun. If we cut the quarter circle part, we can use it twice. So let's start off with this yellow bit over here, and then we'll do a half circle and cut it in half. So yellow star, yellow emerald. Let's start with that. So we'll get our quarter destroyers in, and we want a star and we want an emerald. Still calling them emeralds. Wedge. We want a star and a wedge. Then the other part is the circle, but we'll probably do these 2 circles together. So we'll get our full to 4 quarters somewhere around here. Bring our circles in. For now we only need 2 parts. So I might just destroy this part over here and this part over here. Now we can piece together the bottom layer, which is just these 3 parts. Let's orient everything correctly. So my quarter destroyers will bring everything to the bottom right, If the star needs to go on the top right, that's a 180-degree rotation. To get that onto the bottom left, the wedge, it's a 90-degree clockwise rotation. So that'll get these two components together. So let's just stack that up first. Then to that, we need to add the circle, which is on the top right. And my quarter destroyer does indeed put circles on the top right. So we should just be able to stack this in like that. And that'll get us our bottom layer. That bottom layer obviously needs to be painted yellow. So let's go ahead and put a painter over here. And let's get yellow going. I'm gonna just change where this comes up. Like that. That way we can get the yellow paint underneath. So let's get our color mixer above here again. Red. Green makes yellow. Yellow goes around here. Pops underneath. And pops back up there. A little bit of a crisscrossy there, but that's fine. So that will make our yellow bottom layer. Now, on top of the yellow bottom layer, we need to get this yellow circle. So we need to get another painter over here. Like that. Get the yellow into this as well. Now, that's going to be in the top right, but I need it in the bottom right. So I need to give that a clockwise rotation. And, of course, we need to pin push that part up. So we'll pin push that up. And then we're going to stack it. So theoretically, that should get us the bottom layer plus this yellow bit. Then we need to put on the cyan square and the white square. So we're going to need another full to 4 quarters. And this time we're going to do it on the squares. And we're going to get these two bits and destroy it. Then we need to paint one cyan and one white. So let's just get our painters in. Get our color mixer for cyan just right here. Cyan is blue and green. Then we can pop that down across and up here. There's the cyan bit. The cyan bit needs to be counterclockwise rotated. In fact, they both do. So let's get those counterclockwise rotations in. Now there's a pin layer, single pin layer on top, which we'll have to deal with in a bit, but let's make white first. So we'll go like that and that. We'll get RGB in to make white. And then we'll bring the white along here. So that'll make our white square. And now we can just stack these layers on top of one another. Like that. That should get our two little bit white bits. And now obviously our square bits, sorry. And then obviously we need our pin push. Now there's no way to get that pin in. So I'm going to have to do single layer pins. We'll pick a shape we're not using, which seems to be the circles in this case. We'll pick a color we're not using. We're using a lot of blue, a lot of red, a lot of green. Doesn't matter which one we pick then. So we'll just go with blue. That should get our single pin layer. Of course, we only need a quarter. So we're going to get a quarter destroyer. That's going to be on the bottom right. So we're going to get a 180-degree rotator. And that should be our singular pin. That will go in there. And now we can take that out and get that out. We'll come back and check in on staging 1 in a little bit. For now, let's head over to staging 2. Staging 2 is making this shape and it's fully delivered it. So that's fantastic. And it is completed. So we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Got to be a bit careful over here. Done a lot of craziness. So let's just get rid of that. Go down to the bottom layer. Get rid of some of this craziness. I think I started this a little bit too far to the left. I might start them a little bit over to the side a bit now. So staging 2 is free. We'll leave staging 2 for now. Let's head over to staging 4, I believe, is where this thing's happening. But before we do that, let's check in on staging 3, make sure we are producing the correct shape. Doesn't look like anything has changed. Why? Because something's broken here, obviously. Because why is this still giving me the wrong shape? Because I never plugged in the circle part. Oh my god. See, this is why we need to come back and check our work. Okay, that part needs to be circle, not square. But we can check if everything else is correct. This part looks... again, this part is square. But once I change that to circle, that will be circle too. So that should be fine. The rest of this shape is still the red bit and that bit. So that should be fine. Lucky we checked. Let's head back to staging 4. And this shape is now completed. This is only the second iteration of this shape. That's fantastic. Alright, let's go to the next iteration of this shape. The next iteration of this shape, the base shape is still the same, but we need to change the colors. So to not confuse myself, I'm just going to delete what I've done because it's no longer yellow there. It's blue and it's no longer cyan. So I can get rid of the cyan bits. Where's this green leading? This green is also confusing. Ah, no, the green is a square. We need that green. I've deleted it incorrectly. I'm going to put it on this side just to not confuse myself, because that green square seems to be staying there a lot. Now, this is the top right is blue. So this part is blue. This is the bottom right, which is now yellow. So yellow needs to go here now. Yellow is over here. I'm going to bring it this way. I might as well just bring it down. No, that's going to intercept the other side. I'll bring it this way, and then we'll bring it up here. That will get that bottom right yellow, and this bit needs to be also blue, so I might just bring a new belt and we'll bring it up. Like that. Confusing, but you can get rid of this top bit. We'll use that top layer every now and then just to make our lives a little bit easier. But what else has changed? So that should get our new bottom layer sorted. Our second layer is this uncolored bit, and that's still uncolored, which is great. And then that star bit is gone. What happened to the star bit? It's just a white star now facing the other way. So instead of this purple star, we need white. So I'm going to get rid of the purple, and I'm going to bring the white just from here. So that gets the white star, but we need to orient it the right way and no longer pin push it twice. So the star's coming out the bottom right. Let's get it to the top left. So I'm going to add a 180-degree rotation. I should really fix the rotation, but that's fine. And that should get us our new second layer, hopefully, which is just that and that. Now, we got a double pin pushed red diagonal bit. Oh, that was this thing. So we don't need this thing anymore. Double pin pushed red diagonal bit. Isn't that just this? That's exactly that. And then to that, we need to add a white bit. So let's get rid of this. We need to paint that white. The white's oriented in the correct bit, but we also need to add to the white bit a red bit. So let's get a quarter destroyer going. It's a wedge. And then we'll grab our painter. We'll grab our red. And then that needs to be in the bottom left, so it's a clockwise 90. Now we need to stack these two first, because order of operations matters in this case. Because we need the full layer pieced together before we drop it, otherwise things are going to fall through. So instead of this white bit going there, we need it to go down, across, and up to create this layer first. Then we should be able to stack this layer onto here and get that out like that. In theory, that should be correct. So let's go check in on our other staging areas, make sure we're not doing anything silly. This thing looks very correct to me, doesn't it? Oh, by the way, we have 750 research points now, so guess what we can do? Upgrade our shape multiplier to 3. Now things will get delivered instantly. In fact, this thing's already done, so let's make these modifications while we're waiting. So the circle bit and this bit is the same, we're just adding another star bit to this. So is it easier just to add on another star, or is it just make this full to 2 diagonal? Like that? That should just get the right star bit there, right? And everything else here remains the same. It stacks on the quarter circle and then paints it yellow. So that should get our correct bottom layer. Our next layer is this crazy cyan thingy mabob. We were using... Now, we've done something wacky with this. What were we making before? It was just a square thing. So I think I might just start this part again, because all the pin pushing stuff is a little bit different now. So I'm going to get rid of all this. Sometimes it's just easier to sort of start again. I'm going to cut all of this stuff. Cut this. Cut that. And cut that. So we're trying to piece together this layer, which is 3/4 of a circle. I can't really see. 3/4 of a circle and 1/4 of an emerald. So let's just do that from basics. So full to 3/4 and 1/4 destroyer. So the 3/4 is of a circle and the 1/4 is of a wedge. So the wedge is going to be in the bottom right. We need that on the bottom left, so that's a clockwise rotation. Then the whole of this 3/4 thing is going to be, I've forgotten, I think it's in the top right. Yeah, it's in the top right, and we need the whole to be in the bottom left. So that's a 180-degree rotation. Now we should be able to stack these two shapes together. And then we should be able to paint it some color. I think it's emerald. Sorry, emerald. Oh my god, I love just saying emerald for everything. It's cyan, so that should get my first 2 layers correct. I assume this is correct and it's just not flushed out properly. But it should be fine. I'm going to bring this layer here and this layer there. There's our first 2 layers. Our next layer is just a white 3/4 circle. So let's get our full to 3/4 on our circle. And then we'll just grab a painter and paint that white. Like that. Now the hole is in the top right, which is correct. So we should just be able to stack on the white circle. Fantastic. Nice and easy. Then on top of that, we need a double pin pushed 1/4 circle yellow. So let's get our 1/4 destroyer out. Get another circle. So we're running out of circles now. We'll get our painter and we need a yellow. So we've got 2 yellows there. So we should be able to split this belt of yellows. We'll go loop it around the back. And then bring it down here. Bring it down here properly. There we go. That should be our 1/4 yellows, and it needs to be counterclockwise rotated to get into position. And then it needs to be double pin pushed. 1, 2. Then that should just stack on. But we're not quite done yet, because if you notice, there's a single pin layer over here, and unfortunately it's not on the top level, so there's nothing we can do about it besides making a single pin layer. So we'll grab our single pin layer, pick a shape that we're not using much of, for example this star, pick a color we're not using much of, for example that's peeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, so I don't know, like blue, doesn't really matter, we're not running out of color. That'll get our single pin layer, and we just need to 1/4 destroy that single pin layer. That 1/4 will be on the bottom right, which is exactly where we want it. So we should be able to just stack that onto there. Bring that in, bring that out, and that should be our shape. Fantastic. Checking on what staging 2 is up to. Staging 2 is doing nothing. We can start a new shape here. We'll come back to that. Let's check in on staging 3, make sure that is indeed correct. Obviously something's very, very wrong. What have I done wrong? This shape is completely empty. Look what I've done. Look what I've done, guys. It's like I don't want to complete these tasks. What? I've done exactly the same thing. There we go. Get the shape in and not cut off the shape to the other stuff. Curious to see what the next upgrade actually is. We're never going to get there. It's 1250, but we're never going to get to shape multiplier 4. Well, that's fine. Shape multiplier 3 should be more than enough to do what we're trying to do over here. So hopefully we've fixed staging 3 now. Let's check in on staging 4. That was quite a complicated shape change, so let's make sure that is happening correctly. Does that look right to you guys? I feel like that looks right to me. I don't see any obvious flaws in this shape design. That's fine. So let's head back to staging 2 and we can start our new shape. So we go back to our tasks. Let's go find ourselves the next shape, which is it that stared back. We're finally starting with our crystal tasks. Fun. Well, the first few iterations are pretty straightforward, but we know we're going to need to piece this together from halves, because as you notice up here, there is a half crystal. So eventually it's going to turn into a mold, but do we care about that for now? We probably do. Might as well just do this as a top half, bottom half shape. Do we even need to do that? Screw it, we'll just do it properly. I can't visualize the change that's going to need to be made, So I'm just going to do this the easy way first. So let's go full to, oh, sorry, cutting 1 to 2. Let's start this a little bit in the right spot this time. So we'll get a circle. That will get us 2 circles. Then 1 half circle should be crystal made first. Where do these half circles go? On the left. They both go on the left. So this one needs to go on the top. So that's a clockwise rotation before it goes into our crystal maker. So something like that, and it needs to be red. So we'll bring our red, bring it through. That should get our bottom layer. And now this needs to go on the bottom. So it is a counterclockwise rotation. And now we should be able to just stack these 2 layers. Like this. And then that should be our final output. And I don't see any issues with that. The next iteration of this shape will be a little bit annoying. I'm going to get rid of this flashing. Excuse the loud noise. And I can see that is indeed the correct shape already, I think. Yes, fantastic. Alright, let's check in on all our shapes, make sure we haven't made any stupid mistakes anywhere. This shape doesn't look quite right. Let's have a look. The bottom layer looks fine. Is there some sort of pin pushing screwing this up? Is that meant to be pin pushed? Hold on, this is not right. We don't need this. We just need the bottom layer coming out like that. We don't want that little extra bit that we had before. We're making that extra bit over here. Alright, I see what I've done wrong, but that's fine. I think that should get us the correct shape. Just straight up the bottom layer without that extra bit. And then why does this have a bit of extra bit as well? That's not right. One of these rotations is wrong, which is this one. The hole for this, it needs to be clockwise 90. So I've done this just completely wrong. And then that should get the correct second layer, and then the rest should be okay, I think. Yeah. Cool. So back to staging 2. Staging 2 is okay. Staging 3. What's wrong with staging 3? It's still like the wrong thing, isn't it? No, it looks correct now. Just took a while to do the thing. That part's right. And then it goes with a double pin layer, which theoretically this should be the correct shape. And then on top we drop a singular pin. So that should be the correct shape. Good. Staging 3 is all good. Let's check in on staging 4. That was quite a complex change as well. So the bottom layer for staging 4 looks correct. It's got that uncolored bit, and then it's got this white bit, which is great. Then across here, it's got the double pinned up red bit. And then finally on top of that goes this bit. All right, that looks correct to me. So we're just waiting for a delivery of that shape. Cool. All right, this load of delivery is about to arrive. We will be able to see that was wrong. Am I missing a pin somewhere? Oh, there's an extra pin here. That's all we're missing. Is there a way to get that pin on in any other way? Not really. Oh. No, not really. If we put a pinned up shape on this thing, the pin should drop because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers, right? This top bit should fall and that pin should fall. You want to try this the tricky way? All right, let's do this the tricky way. So what we should do is get any quarter destroyer on any shape. Then we should get our pin pusher. We missed a little pin. And then we should get this thing. And then get that in. So what that's going to do, and we can chill here and watch it for a bit, is put that pinned up shape, but that pinned up shape needs to rotate to the top right. So we need to counterclockwise rotate that. So yeah, we got that pinned up shape. It's going to be on the top right. And then we're merging it with this shape first. So now this shape's going to have a pinned up bit over there. And then when we finally merge it with this 4-layer shape, because this is a 4-layer shape, that pinned up bit should disappear and the pin should just drop down. Let's watch that in action since it's about to appear. So watch what happens when this shape finally comes through. Here we go. There it is. Capture it. No, it's fallen down. Why didn't it destroy the layer first? Nah, it didn't do what I thought it would do. Shouldn't it have destroyed this part first, then fallen down? It falls down first before destroying it, so it comes out in a different order. Alright, fine. Proof of concept failed. We're gonna have to do this the more difficult way then. Lucky we stayed and checked, because otherwise when I came back to this I probably wouldn't have figured out what I was doing wrong. So if it wants us to do it the more difficult way, that's just a single pin push layer. Grab that, grab any color. Green I think is not being used very much. Then we will quarter destroy that pin. Then we'll rotate that pin counterclockwise to get it into the right position. Then we will merge this shape onto this shape and then bring that shape back in. Something like that. That should definitely get it working correctly. And we'll validate that in a second. Let's go back to staging, I believe, 4 or 2? Yeah, staging 2. Let's work out this next shape. So, why does this shape need to be pieced together with halves? Because you can see a half crystal layer on nothing, and there's no way you can do that and shatter it. So we need to just create a mold and make this blue part first. So we're going to need lots of circles and a mold. But the mold doesn't need to be circles, and since it's using a lot of circles, we'll keep that going. So this bottom part is okay. We're going to get rid of this other half circles. We'll do that at the end. Just going to bin this for now. So this bottom layer is fine, right? But then we need a mold, and the mold needs to be 2 layers to stack on top of it. So I'm going to pick any shape that's not going to be used a lot in this progression, which is just anything that's not circles. So we'll just use wedges. I'll do a cutting 1 to 2 to just conserve the shape, I guess. And then in theory, if we just stack this on top of itself, like this, we should end up getting a mold, and our cutting 1 to 2 brings shapes onto the left side. And this shape is on the bottom side, I think. It's oriented correctly, so we need to get it on top. So it's a clockwise rotation. Put our clockwise rotator in, and now we got to stack the mold onto this shape. So let's bring our stack up. Bring it down a little bit. Something like that. And that should get our, basically the bottom layer of this shape and a 2-layer mold. To that we need to stack a white circle first. So we'll get another cutting 1 to 2. Bring our circles, and then we're going to make white. So let's get our color mixer in. I'm just going to do it back here somewhere. Bring our colors. And then we'll get our white out, and we'll paint one of these sides. Like this, and we'll bin the other side for now because I don't need it. So we'll bring the white paint up here. Now we've got our white circle on the left, but our white circle needs to be on the bottom, so that's a counterclockwise rotation. And now we can stack that into our mold shape. So now that should get our mold on this side, or our scaffold on this side, and the white circle bit. So the result of this shape can now be put through a crystal maker. Something like, oh god. Flip that. Should I just do the crystal maker down here? I just put it on here, easier. Now the crystal is blue, so along this line we need to get blue. like that. And that should get us the correct shape, but it's on the bottom. So we need to rotate it and cut away the bit that we don't need. So to rotate this shape, to cut away the scaffold, we need to rotate counterclockwise 90. Then we need to half destroy to get rid of the scaffold. Then we can merge it with the bit we actually want, which is just a half circle. So we'll take this half circle, and it's actually on the correct side. So we should just be able to stack this together. Order doesn't matter in this case. So we should just be able to plug it in something like this. And in theory, this should be our final shape. We'll have to see if that's correct. It's a very complicated process. We can see the mold in action right now. So you can see over here, the shape that we've made is the crystal bottom layer and then just an empty scaffold on this side. Then the empty scaffold should mix in with the white circle bit, and that should get our second layer. And then that will leave a gap to put the crystal in for the third bit. And then we're cutting away the scaffold is basically the theory that we're using. It's not particularly complex yet. So let's head back to staging 1 and see what else we need to produce. I think we've produced this shape now. That was only the second iteration of this shape. So let's see what's changed. Fun. The quarter circle is now cyan. So we can't paint this entire shape at once anymore. We're going to have to paint it in its quarters. That's just fantastic, isn't it? So these 3 bits is still yellow. So I'm going to shift the painting over. At least this bit can be reused. So let me get rid of the yellow here. And just redirect it here. So that gets me my bottom 3/4 yellow. And then I need a cyan quarter circle. So we still need a painter here, except it needs to be cyan. I'm going to just steal the cyan from this side because I'm lazy. And that cyan quarter circle needs to then be stacked to make our new bottom layer. So theoretically, this should be our new bottom layer. Hopefully that works, because that part's all the same. What happened to our second layer? Our second layer used to be this full shape because we were making it out of a 3/4 circle and a cyan bit, but now it's not. Now it is the emerald and the circle, but it's a quarter circle. So we're going to change this to a full to 2 diagonals. Theoretically, the orientation should be correct, so we should just bring it straight out without rotation. Let's chuck a bin on the other side so it doesn't clog. That should get us our new correct shape, which just becomes cyan. So that layer is done. Then we need to pop up a yellow circle before we do anything. Oh, we can stack the white part on because that's just a white 3/4 circle. So that actually doesn't change. Now the popped up yellow circle bit actually doesn't change either. That's too easy. Is this a double pinup or a single pinup? It's a double pinup. So we just need to remove 1 pin push off this. These are both pin pushes. So theoretically, if I just remove 1 pin push, that'll get the 1 pinned up circle bit. And now we need a double layer pins. Okay, we can rework this part because this is a full layer of pins. And then if we half destroy that, we should be able to get rid of the half that we don't want. Wait, sorry. That's the pin layer. Then we half destroy. That should get us the bit of the pins that we don't want, which is on the right half, which should just stack onto the shape that we're making. And now we just need to make our cyan wedge. Do we have a cyan wedge somewhere? We have no more cyan to use. Okay, we'll just make a new cyan wedge then. So we'll get our quarter destroy. And by no means is this the most efficient way to make this. It's just the easiest way to make this without thinking. Like this. And there's our new cyan. And our wedge will be on the bottom left. So we need to counterclockwise rotate that. And then we just put that as a final stack. And these shapes are starting to get more complex. We're still not doing any tricky techniques, it's just the order of operations we got to be very wary of. So let's just double check this before we leave. The bottom layer looks definitely correct. This still looks, oh, actually that's looking correct now, the new shapes that are coming out. I think there's still some little residual bits, but that's definitely looking correct on the second layer. Third layer is fine. This single pin push yellow should be fine. This double layer of pins should be fine. And this final cyan wedge thing coming should be fine. It is in the bottom right, but it will, once painted, rotate to the top right. So it should be fine. We've got plenty of work to do, so let's check in on staging 2, because staging 2 ain't producing the shape that we want. But it is. Is that not the shape that we want? Is there some trick I missed? No? Okay. That looks like the shape that we want. Alright, whatever. Let's move on. Staging 3. What are you doing? You are doing this shape. So let's go to the next one of this shape. To this one. What has changed? The bottom layer looks the same. The second layer was this weird 3/4 circle. What is it now? It's the circle bit, but it's no longer a 3/4 circle. That's fun. So quarter circle and a circle. So it's this, but we need to replace the circle with an emerald now, with a wedge. So in theory, if we just get rid of this, we should be able to get that wedge, and that should be the second layer done. Third layer is what? Third layer looks like just a yellow wedge instead of a red thing. Is that a new? Because we still need this red thing as the next one. So this yellow wedge thing needs to be made. Can I squeeze that in there? If I get a quarter destroyer, say here, and then I bring in a wedge, then I get a painter, and then I need yellow. Do I have enough yellow? I can. I can bring the yellow from here and up like that. That should get our quarter yellow wedge. It needs to be on the top right, so that's a counterclockwise 90 rotation. And then that needs to be stacked on before this. So if I bring that in there, that out that way, we should in theory be okay for the third layer. The fourth layer remains the same. It's still this thing, right? It's still this thing, this red thing. And then we can do something a little bit tricky with the pins. So once this goes on, instead of the single pin layer doing all this wacky stuff, theoretically, if I just cut away the top right corner with a full to 3/4, now I should have a hole in the top right. And then if I drop those pins on top, 2 should fall down and 1 should remain there. So let's try that. I like to do tricky things and appear to be clever whenever I can. We'll have to see if this does what I want it to do. Yep, that makes the hole on the top right. And then hopefully when that drops, it should give us the correct shape. Let's validate that before we leave. Why is this only working on one lane? Something's like very wrong here. No, it's coming through fine. It's just taking a while to saturate. I can't really validate this because... oh, yeah, it's dropped the way I want it to drop. And then once the other shapes sort of do their thing, we should be okay. Is this bottom layer right? Yes, the bottom layer is right. Then we've stacked on the second layer. That looks correct to me. It's coming out with the new wedge shape. Then on top goes a yellow wedge directly, which is fine. And then that should be fine. I have high confidence this is now correct. So let's check back in on staging 4. Staging 4, this part is now done. I think, oh, this is only the third iteration of this shape. What has changed now? This has just become 3/4 of a circle. So again, the bottom layer changes again. So let's just continue doing it the way we're doing it. It's basically blue everywhere. So this entire circle is now blue. But I don't want to change the order in which I'm doing things. The reason being is because the next iteration, it's not going to be doing that again. So I'm going to get rid of this yellow though. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring the blue out like this. And then we're going to bring the blue out like that. So now all of this 3/4 circle will be blue. And the bottom right square that used to be green here is now red. So it's trying to be tricky, but that's okay. So that should get me the correct bottom layer, right? Now the next layer is a square and a thing, a star. So there's the star, but this is not a square. This is an uncolored wedge. So we need to modify this to be a square. And it needs to be colored now. So we need to make room for a painter. And the color of that square is yellow. So we had yellow paint here somewhere, but it's like super far away. So instead of doing something super weird and janky, what we'll do is we'll bring it out this way. Like that, and bring in the yellow. So that should make this a yellow square now. And that second bit is a white arrow. So that remains the same. The third layer is now a downward green arrow, which is not existing right now. Because then on top of that goes a red thing. And then the pin layer still is the same. So I just got to insert this arrow over here. So I'm going to grab my full to 3/4. And then we're going to bring the stars in. We'll do it here, because it's already sort of here. Then we'll paint the stars cyan. We have a cyan. We have a cyan. I'm just going to bring this up. No, I should not do this. Oh god, the cyan is in such an awkward position. How do I bring the cyan there? Alright, we'll bring it up for now. Like that. That will get the cyan in, I think. Now our star's going to be in the bottom right, but we want it to be on the bottom left. So that's a clockwise 90. Like that. And now we need to add an extra stacking process in between here. Like that. And then that should be all the same, because the next layer is this double red thing. And then the layer after that is just this thing. And then it's just a single pin dropped in the middle there. So that should be, in theory, all good. Head back to staging 1 while we wait. And staging 1 has successfully created this shape. So we could figure out the next iteration, which again looks very, very different. I think the bottom layer is the same. Let me validate that. Yep, the bottom layer looks the same. So we can keep this part. Now the second layer has changed completely. It is a 3/4 wedge with a 1/4 yellow circle. So this part is making the second layer. I'm going to just change it completely. So if we go full to 3/4 on the wedge, and then we'll just 1/4 destroy the circle. Now we need to paint these sections before we piece them together, because they're different colors. So we get a painter here and a painter here. The wedge needs to be emerald, like that. And the circle needs to be yellow. And the yellow is here. The yellow being here is a little bit annoying. Go up, up, and down. Alright, now we've got all our pieces in the correct orientation. The hole is there, which is correct. And the yellow needs to go counterclock. No, is that clockwise? No, that's counterclockwise 90. Theoretically, I should be able to stack these two together. And that should make our new second layer. So we've got our first layer and our second layer sorted. Our third layer is just a white square, from what I can see. So this circle thing is just completely useless now. I'm just going to make a white square. I don't even care anymore. So that's a white square. No, that's a white circle. Get rid of that so I don't confuse myself. So there's a 1/4 square. It needs to be on the bottom right, so that's a clockwise 90. and then it needs to be painted white. So that should change that to a singular white square, which is exactly what I need. And then on top of that, I need this diagonal emeralds. So I don't need this yellow thing anymore. And it's white as well. So I don't need this yellow thing anymore. I do need 2 belts of yellow this way though. So let's get rid of that and let's get our colors functioning correctly. So I need a full to 2 diagonals over here. And the shape is a wedge. Let's chuck a bin in so we don't clog our shapes. Let's chuck our painter in. Should have done it the other side, but whatever. And it needs to be white. And that should be enough white paint, so we should be all good there. The order is correct, but don't forget we need to pin push this before we stack it. And now we just need a single layer of pins. So this is a half pins, but we just need a singular pin on the bottom left. So we need to quarter destroy this now. A lot of modifications on this shape. That'll get my quarter pins on the bottom right, but we need it on the bottom left, so we need to clockwise rotate that. That should in theory get me the correct shape. Let's validate what we can. The bottom layer is definitely correct. The second layer looks very correct to me. That's that shape, which looks like that shape. The third layer is just a white square, that's what's coming out. And then the next layer is this white shape, which is exactly what's coming out. It's being pin pushed up once. Is that pin pushing? Yep, that's pin pushing. And then our final layer should just be a quarter of a thing. Once rotated, should be in the correct spot. Okay, I believe this should be correct. So that's staging 1 done. Staging 2 is also done. Let's see what we need to do to staging 2. So the bottom layer is just all red, which is fine, but we can't build it this way because of these 2 layers. What? This is kind of hard to build already. Why do I feel like I need to build this shape up from quarters? I don't feel like there's an easy way to do this besides building each layer by quarter, because there's an empty 3/4 here and a quarter here. So we have to build this by quarters, right? There's no other way to build this shape. I'm gonna need so much molds for this. Can we build a half shape? No, we can't. We have to build this up from quarters. So let's build the hardest part first. I'm gonna cut away all of this, get rid of this. We don't need, oh wait, we do need white. So we'll do that white wherever. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make our white circle first, because that's gonna be used in all quarters. So we should get a painter around here. I'm gonna put it like right here. And then we're gonna get white. Alright, so this should get our white circles going. And we want to full to 4/4 this white circle. And that should get us all the 4/4 bits that we need. What I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna make a belt. And it's gonna go across here, right? And that's the only shape we need. Now we can use all our other shapes for molds. And we're gonna need those molds because the first bit that we need to mold is this. So we're gonna need a 4-layer mold to do the bottom right corner. And we're gonna have to like mold and then, oh man, this is gonna be crazy. So we're gonna need a mold and then we're gonna have to crystal the mold. And then we're gonna have to stack on the white, then add 2 layers of mold, crystal that, add another mold, then crystal that. Because you can't make the entire mold or the crystal maker is gonna fill the whole thing with crystal. So we're gonna start again over here. And our first bit is just a mold. So I'm gonna pick this shape. And all our mold bits are gonna be full to 3/4. So I'm gonna do our full to 3/4. We're gonna work down here a bit. So that'll be our 3/4 mold. And it doesn't matter where I do this. So I'm not even gonna bother rotating this just to save on space and effort, I guess. Once we have our mold, we should be able to do a crystal maker. I'm gonna flip it this way, and it's gonna be a red crystal. And we don't even, we're not even gonna have enough color to do this, because we actually need like 8 belts of color. So it's not even gonna produce at max speed, but that's fine. It's gonna do whatever it's gonna do. So that's gonna get our bottom layer. We're working only on this bottom right layer right now. And then onto that, we need to put a quarter of this thing and another mold. So let's get another mold going. I'm just gonna split it here. Like that. There's our next mold, and we should just be able to stack these on top of each other now. And if we're gonna make a man one day, this is gonna be the process that we're gonna do it. But there's the mold, and into the corner of the mold is going to be a quarter circle. So it's going to go into the top right, right? Yeah, it's all going to be in the top right, so I don't even need to rotate this. So we're just going to stack that onto the top right. Like that. And that should get our second layer. Now, before we can do the crystal blue, we need to put another mold. So we're going to bring this across again. And bring that up. And then we need to stack this again. So we're going to bring it in like this. I don't think the order here matters. But this is stupid, right? I don't want to do it like this crazy. So we'll do it like that. That should get us our mold ready for more crystal making. So we'll get another crystal layer, and now I'm going to do the crystals from this side. That's going to be blue this time. Alright, took a bit of troubleshooting and fixing. I had this stacking in the wrong order, because if you drop anything with a crystal, it'll shatter the crystal. But after troubleshooting, it is now working correctly to make our first quarter of a shape, the bottom right quarter. So you can see how we are crystal making the red bit first, then it's coming through. We're stacking the white quarter circle on there, adding another scaffold. Then we're crystal making the blue, so that gets us our 3 layers of it. And then we have to add another scaffold over here, and then we have to crystal make that into cyan. And theoretically, that should get us our final shape with all the correctly stacked bits and bobs. Of course, we're going to need to cut away the bits that we don't need. So it's going to be some sequence of a half destroy, followed by, well, it's going to be on the right side, a counterclockwise rotation, followed by another half destroy. That should get us the quarter that we do need, and I'm just going to bin this to let it run. Then we can work on our other bits. Thankfully, that was the hardest quarter to do. So this next quarter is pretty much the same process, except we don't need this part. So I can just copy all of this, or I can just start again. Probably starting again would be the easiest, but basically we need to scaffold the red. So I can at least copy this part of it. Now we need a new scaffolding shape, because we've pretty much used up all of this. We've used circle once. This part we can just use the rest of the circles. So I'm going to grab the circle bit that I have, and it's still red again, so we'll bring the red. So that'll get our quarter red bit. Then we need to put another scaffold. Then it stacks, so that part's the same. Then it stacks again with the white bit. So like this, and then we need to put it through the blue bit. It's basically a copy and paste of the whole thing. I'm just doing it one step at a time, just to make sure I'm doing this correctly. So that goes in there, and then it's another scaffold. And then we can make it blue. It's basically this. Now we need 2 quarters of this. So I'm going to move my train station a little bit out of the way. Like that. Then once it comes out, it needs to go through this same cutting process to get rid of just the quarter. Now you'll notice that I've made this blue part and I need another bit of that blue part, which is exactly the same shape. So theoretically, I should be able to just copy all of this, say here, and then just plug in all the same stuff. So we need the red there. We need a new mold shape. So we used up these two. Let's do stars for the next mold shape. So if I bring in my stars there, and then I just split them across there, that should be that. Then I need my white circle bit, and that should be that. And now we just need our blue. So that's from here, and connect that. So now we should get two of these bits. Oh god, I offset it by one, but that's whatever. So that's these two blue quarters, and now it's just the final easiest quarter to do. So we should just be able to take any mold shape. We're basically just making this part now. So our last mold shape is our square. And then we get our red. That will make our red crystal quarter. And then to that, we simply just need to stack the white part. We don't need a mold this time, so we just need to stack this on the bottom and this on top. Like that. Is that what we want? And then theoretically, we should be able to just cut away the bits we don't need. And these should be our 4 quarters. Let's validate if any of that is correct. That looks correct to me. This part's not even coming out anymore. What have I done? This part's not coming out. Oh, I've done something whack with this. What is happening here? My circles is not coming out anymore because I've cut away my colors. There we go. Whoops. Alright, I'm going to let that run for a bit and see if we get the correct result. But essentially, we just need to now piece this together from quarters using swappers. I'm just going to put some bins on the end of this. Oh, we already got bins on the end of all 4 quarters. So hopefully this should get us all 4 of our quarter bits. We can see our staging areas are no longer adequate to piece things together from quarters. Alright, so after some minor corrections with the rotation over here, we can see all our quarters are being made. There's one of our quarters. Over here is our other quarter. And then we've got a quarter same quarter going on over here, and we're running out of material. That's why it's not fully saturated. And then finally, our last quarter is over here. So, fantastic. Now we've got all our bits and bobs being made. We can piece them all together, which is going to be fun as well. So we'll piece them together in the same order. So this thing is already correct. So let's bring that over and let's swap it in. Remember, we cannot stack because they all have crystals on them. So we have to swap. So to swap, you need to put one piece on the left and one piece on the right. So this is on the bottom right. So we need to put it onto the bottom left. So that's a clockwise rotation. So once rotated correctly, we can now swap it. Theoretically, we should have ourselves a half of a shape. Now, we want to do the same thing on this side. So this part is this bottom right or top right. So we can leave it on the bottom right, I guess. Can we? Let's just, to make it less confusing, put it onto the top right. So let's go counterclockwise rotation. And this final little piece is the top left. So let's bring that to the top left. It's again on the bottom right. So that will be a 180-degree rotation. Now with these two pieces in place, we should be able to, again, just swap them together. Like that. And that should get us our 2 pieces. Now one is on the bottom half and one's on the top half. To swap these together again, they need to both be rotated in opposite directions. So we can go this one counterclockwise. That will get it onto the left or the right. And this one's on the top and we want it to go counterclockwise as well. So we'll go counterclockwise this way, swap that in, and theoretically, this should be our final shape. Once something comes out, we can validate that. this half is definitely all good. And now this half is coming along, and now we can see the swap is doing nothing. Okay. So wait, this side is on the left. We need this side on the right. So that's a clockwise rotation, sorry. And that should be correct now. God, so confusing. And if you're wondering why I'm not multitasking the other shapes, it's because we're already approaching the hour, so I'm just cutting away the waiting time so we can focus on this last shape. I don't like to leave things sort of half unfinished between episodes. So at least we can finish off this one shape. So we can validate whether this shape is correct. I mean, if I rotate it like this, does that look almost exactly like this shape? I believe it does. And I think that is the correct shape that we need to deliver. And I think we're all good. I mean, it's oriented the wrong way, but all the bits and bobs are in the right spot, and it's pieced together from quarters. If I've done this wrong, let me know in the comments section a better way to do this other than piecing this together from quarters. I cannot see a way to do this, but if you guys see it, maybe I could have made like this part in quarters and then done this part in halves. But again, there's a quarter blue thing here, so I don't really see how that would be possible. But you guys are more clever than I am, so if you know a better way, let me know so I don't do this craziness every single time for the future shapes, because we can see going forward the task progression is all going to be this crazy nonsense, and it's probably going to be all very, very crazy and piecing things together for quarters for these last 4 crystal shapes. But we've made some massive progress this episode, so we will leave it here. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and sub, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.